Good morning, everyone. Welcome to ACFIM Talks. This week's edition, we are looking at a topic on navigating a highly commercialized political environment. We are joined with two guests, whom I'm going to introduce after giving you a brief synopsis on why we chose this topic. ACFIM Uganda has been monitoring elections. We monitored the pre-campaign phase, we monitored and also monitored campaign period. During our monitoring process, we managed to establish that elections have become so commercialized to the extent that politicians have to invest in a lot of money for them to be able to win the race or to be visible. They spend on various aspects, from social donations to individual donations. And this has made the political terrain so expensive for most people, especially the young people who don't have the capacity to mobilize enough resources or have enough resources to contest. So we find it that it's very difficult for most of the young people and the women to contest in most of the races, for example, member of parliament. So today we are having a discussion with one of the youngest, she's the youngest parliamentarian in the 11th parliament, and also a former candidate for Bugwe, Samia Bugwe North, Gerald Padde, Auku. So I want to introduce to you two of our guests today. I will start off with Honorable Hellen Auma Wandera. Honorable Hellen Auma Wandera is currently the youngest parliamentarian in the 11th parliament. She holds a bachelor's degree of arts in social sciences from Chambogo University. She has never been in politics before. Prior to this, she used to vend, she will tell us more, she used to vend fish before she actually had developed aspirations to contest. And then we are also joined with Gerald Padde Auku. Gerald Padde Auku is a development expert and policy analyst. He holds a master's degree in development studies. He is currently working with Transparency International. He contested for MP Samia Bugwe North. So I want to start with Honorable Auma. According to your background, you attended Busia Primary School, you attended the Obore Memorial in Tororo for your O-level, and you attended St. Peter's SS Nalia for your A-level. Through all this educational background, you don't have any history of vying for leadership positions. So I want to know from this, what inspired you to contest after having passed through all the education levels, and then you returned home and now decided to contest for Busia District Woman MP?
Oh, thank you so much, the moderator, Mr. Ape. As you said earlier on, that's true. I went to Busia Parents, I went to Great Obre Memorial, I went to St. Peter's Nalia, then I joined Chambogo University. During my high school and primary, I was a politician, yeah, but my university, I didn't contest for any post. What motivated me to come into this politics? First of all, it was my humble background. Helen, I come from a very humble, poor background. So when I saw my family needs to be something like a step ahead. I looked at my Busia district people. Busia district, those days we used to call it a pillar. It was a pillar in Uganda. But looking at Busia nowadays, Busia is so backward. Poverty is like poverty. When you look at Bukedi sub-region, we are the first poorest districts in Uganda. So that thing would pain me a lot. I decided to come into politics. Looking along that, deciding, me coming into politics, it was a vision from God. I had a dream, I received a vision from God. So I had to chase my dream. You know me, I'm a believer, I'm humble, I love praying hard, I love researching. So when I used to read the Bible, I would see some people made it true from their dreams. So I had to chase my dream. Besides all circumstances, which at least tried to hinder my political journey, but I tried to chase my dream. I remember my first dream, I had a dream when I was in senior 4, that was Great Obre. I had a dream one girl was directing me to go and lead people. So I didn't mind a lot, when you're someone young, you can think it's a dream. And the same vision came back. I was in my senior 6, that's Nalia St. Peter's. I had the same dream. I was like, really, what's God trying to show me? So I had to ignore the dream, I was young. I wouldn't chase my dream as I thought it would be. So at my university level, in my second year, I had the same dream. So I went to my family, I sat with them, they told me I'm joking and whatever, because they knew me as like someone who loved so-call made, I used to be an MC doing some simple parties. So they thought I'm doing my comedy things. Me, I told them I'm serious. First of all, the first meeting, my family ignored, and they just chased me. I was like, I cried. I said, Mommy, please. We had a second family meeting, they ignored. Until the 4th meeting is when they accepted my vision, but they're like, "Why are we going to get married? We are so poor. How are we going to run your politics?" No politics, as the question states. You have to invest in money, this politics of today. So my parents tried to deny, but I cried. I told them, whatever, me, I'll foot, don't mind. As long as they give me money for nominations and whatever, I'll foot, I'll do whatever is possible, but I have to run my dream. And I said, if really vision can come true. And that's when I began my political career. As that was in 2019. I think in December. That's when I began.
Okay, Honorable, that's interesting. So I will go to former Samia Bugwe North candidate, Mr. Gerald Padde Auku. You crossed from civil society to join politics.
Yes.
Could you tell us what inspired you to leave your development work in civil society and decided to go and join a race for MPship for Samia Bugwe North?
Thank you, Abbe, and it's a pleasure to be part of this conversation. I am humbled to be with the Honorable, who is my sister, and I want to congratulate her for having managed to make it. I remember we hustled together trying to look for the votes. Well, like you rightly stated, the names are Gerald Padde Auku, and I have been in civil society for a very long time, but passionate on issues related to good governance and human rights. As you rightly stated, I am a development expert, having attained a master's degree in the same subject. And I have been a politician throughout my school life. Right from primary, I was a leader. Secondary, I was a leader. At the university, I was actually a guild president. So it wasn't a surprise seeing me running for MP for Samia Bugwe North. Of course, the aspiration is not far from what my sister stated, the poverty levels, but also the level of legislation at the August House. It is wanting. But also what annoys me most is a failure for MPs to realize their mandate. They are becoming more of, the chiefs in the villages instead of doing their work of legislation, oversight role, and others as stipulated by the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. I thought going into that house would help me to do quite a number of things, given the experience that I already have with civil society, the networks that I've developed, over time. I thought it would really help our district, especially Samia Bugwe North, to transit to the level that everyone would desire to see. We, first of all, as a constituency, we have a high number of illiterates. We have higher numbers of employment. When you look at the statistics, for example, even at the district level, you find that most people work at the district all come from the southern part of Busia, and the north is quite marginalized. You look at the representation in parliament, the north, where I come from, for a very long time is lagging behind. The quality of services, wanting, and many others. So I thought getting to that position would really help me to create an impact in that constituency.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Hellen Auma, you were sharing with us that first of all, when you decided to show your interest that you wanted to contest for Woman MP Busia, the first people to doubt you were your parents, and they said, now, when they started taking you serious, they asked you, we don't have money, so how are we going to even help you? And we all know that nowadays the politics of Uganda, not only Uganda, but globally, you require money to effectively run your campaigns. Especially you need money for posters, you need money for your campaign team, especially the agents facilitating them. You need money for maybe public address system, and also we saw that these elections were more of scientific in nature, whereby you needed to do more publicity on radio and other media platforms. All that required money. So I would like to know from you, how did you fundraise and access resources to finance your elections?
Thank you so much, Mr. Abel. Really, my financing of politics was really hard, as I told you earlier on. I think in primary, let me begin with primary because I'm the NRM flag bearer. I own the flag of Auma Member of Parliament, Busia District, but it wasn't easy. You know how our elections went. I know you used to be in field and finding out everything going on. So first of all, I did door-to-door campaigns. I used to move door to door. I would dig for people. I would sweep for people. I would do what necessary I would to win the vote. Actually, even it reached an extent whenever I would come back footing, my mom would cry. Like she would really see on my knees, I'm suffering, but really I wanted to chase my dream. At some extent, she would cry. But I used to be strong. You know, I'm someone who I love keeping my word, and I'm someone who is targetful. I knew this would come one day, so I used not to matter. I used not to like maybe worry, and I would just comfort her. I was like, "Mommy, this will get done. This will get done." I used to do door to door. So from door to door, that was the lockdown when Corona was so high in Uganda. Okay, let me say everywhere. So we put there was a lockdown, and first Busia being on the border of Kenya, our lockdown was so tight, and I would just sit back because we're 8 candidates in primary. And we were five were the same age bracket, we're between 20 and 30. So the competition was so high. I would claim that I'm young, and for them the old, the youth will vote someone young like me. Maki, we had a people power candidate also, and she was 24. First, she was still a student at Makerere University. So we're in the same age bracket. And Maki, people power by then, such districts like on borders, people power was so high in towns. But I had such also candidates. I had to struggle. So my campaign financing, I used to move door to door when necessary. I used to use a border. And a border, it's not favorable, like maybe in the rainy season. It was sometimes like in the rainy season. Rain used to rain on me. Actually, maybe I would leave the barrio coming back, and where you are, there's no shelter where you can go or something like that. It would rain on me. I would go back home, wait and everything, and my mom would cry. Even she used to. Sometimes I felt like I should leave politics and I first work somewhere, then I'll come because I didn't have finance. But I would comfort her, like, "Mommy, just calm down. This will be done." I used to use door to door with my border. Actually, even I thank my brothers I used to move with. First, we used not to eat. We'd leave home early in the morning at 7. We go to field. We come back at 9. And I don't eat. Maybe sometimes when I would get some little money, I would buy water and bread. We would eat water and bread, maybe during lunchtime, and we foot door to door, and we move door to door campaign because they didn't allow the things of gatherings. So that's how I did my campaigns. I would use a border. That border, people even they could carry me on loans. I sometimes I would not give cash money, but I would promise her, in the evening you can pass by home. If my mom has she has got some money from the market, also she does this fish business. Then I will come, I what? I pay. If I have a little money, I can give. And I'm a good bargainer by the way. I told, if you have ever read my story, I told you I had a boutique. I'm a businesswoman. I know how to bargain actually. I have that sweet tongue. I can bargain a lot. So I used to bargain, and sometimes even I would see myself I'm cheating them because someone is going to carry the whole day and the money you're giving, really it's little, but I don't have, and I'd feel pity in my heart. I was like, oh God, really? And I tried like that slowly. I used the border until we reached we had 3 days to the final voting. Another, I have to pay the agents come in, you know, you have to give. Actually, during campaigns, I would gather people. We reached some times of gather. You would gather even like, of course, the government was allowing us to gather people not more than 200. You would gather people. People even would be like 200. You know, something in a village. Even they would be beyond. That's the fact. But you know, shamelessly, I would talk. People liked my speech. Actually, they liked the words through me. They liked everything I would speak. They liked the humbleness in me, the social in me. Although I'm a social worker, I did social sciences and I did part of counseling. You know, they liked the way I would talk, I would aim myself because I knew how to communicate. If I would meet the old people, I knew how to talk. If I would meet the young people, I knew how to talk. If I would meet people with disabilities, I knew what to share with them. So they really liked the words in me. So I would talk and talk and talk. Now my word would come. Finally, when you want to say goodbye, and someone would stand up, honorable, you know that speaking of what politics, eh? How have you left us? And you know, I would get worried. You know, even my pocket, I didn't have money. I would gather like more than 200 people, and I leave for them 30,000 of Uganda shilling, not Kenyan. Some people would back at you, some would abuse you. Me, I would go. I'll tell my people, calm down. People would vote for us, don't vote. If they don't vote, then I'm still young, I can still come back to 26. So that's what I used to do slowly. On radio, I remember during the full campaign, I appeared on radio twice. Why? I didn't have money. And the moment I appeared on radio, it was debate. They would host us like all women members aspiring. So would be there on that bet, and the amount was kind of fair. So we were paying 250 per person. I think that one I would hustle. And my worry was, in case I would fail to go on radio, they would think I'm fair in this candidates. So I had to struggle and appear there because by then my name was on top. So I had to struggle and at least I would get that 250 so that I appear on what? On radio. And whenever I would appear, people would love my message. So most of people voted me even without knowing me. They just they would tell me, you talk so well, you have matter, you can do up, you can work for us, you can do this and this. We just love your message. So that really helped me through my primary, and we're 8 candidates, and I happened to win the 7 candidates, of which most of them were coming from rich back families. They had at least some good money, and all of us were the same age bracket. But I think my social way and my way of talking helped me a lot. And that primary elections helped me a lot in general elections, because during my primary elections, they tried to cheat me. Our primary elections took, like our time in the tiring room, it took 3 days in the tiring room. I remember they first declared me as the winner in the primary. After 2 minutes, the NRM, is it the NRM, whatever, she was called Madame Rose. She was the one in charge of the
registrar
announcing the winner. So after announcing me, she announced someone else. She was like, it's a mistake. She was called Sharon as well, the primary election. So what happened in the tiring room, I can't speak it out, but you know what happened. People fought, people cried, whatever happened. So we had to repeat again the tiring process. We had to begin afresh. And when we tried, like when we repeated the tallying, automatically I won. But that thing again helped me in general elections, because it showed people of Busia, no matter this woman is young, no matter she's little, she's small, but she has fought for the flag. Because I remember in 2016, there's someone they tried to cheat her votes in primary and she didn't fight for them. She just left and she went out. And me, I showed them, nevertheless, never the struggle, I'm with you people. Actually, I fought there. I remember some chaos happened, whatever, but I had to fight and I got my flag. So that thing helped me in the general election. Even the people of opposition, They told me, we are going to give you this vote, not because of your party. First, we are FDC, but the way you fought and you showed you can handle every situation. So that motivated many voters in Busia to give me votes. And in general elections, actually, I didn't use a lot of money, but I used money for NRM. Remember, NRM supports the flag bearers. And the NRM, they gave us 50 million. Those are the women member of parliament, they gave us 50 million. And that one catered for my general elections. Actually, I didn't even pick any amount from my pocket. It's the NRM which supported my election for general election. And in general elections, were 9 candidates. 3 candidates who lost the flag in primary came independent. And also the struggle wasn't easy because our incumbent candidate, she was of independent. She didn't come into primary, she came into general election. So also there the elections were not all that easy. But I had to struggle because at least I'd made a name in primary and that thing was helping me to pursue my position. And right now I stand to be the woman member of parliament, Busia district.
Okay, Honorable Auma, you're one of the sources you've told us is NRM. That's during the campaigns, during the campaign period. But now I want to take you back to pre-campaign. That's during party primaries. We while monitoring NRM party primary, we witnessed a lot of money exchange hands, especially a day to and during the actual voting day, where we saw some people were giving money to voters online, some were ferrying people from wherever they were. So in your own estimate, how much do you think you spent? Did you also spend the same way other people spent during the party primaries, or you just had that luck of people loving you and loving the message you're carrying?
Actually, people just loved my message, but of course also I had to get some little money because I had to pay agents. Remember,
how much, what was the estimate you spent in the party primaries?
Party primary, if it's really much, I used 30 million. And that money, my mom got a loan from the bank because I had to pay my agents. You know, we had village per village. So we had to give agents village per village, of which I was giving per person 5,000, which is really less, and my opponents would give 20. You know, even I was scared that my people would be bought off to other different candidates, because me, I'm giving you 5,000, someone will come with 50,000. You know, that's politics. But I don't know. I think I was just liked by people. I think God wanted to make my vision become true, because I gave people 5,000 and they stood with me. They had to keep my vote safe with 5,000 only. Actually, some didn't even get, but they had to stand with me. I didn't
so that was facilitating your agents.
Yeah, of course you have to pay. I didn't even facilitate them with breakfast or lunch. I just gave them 5,000 to keep my vote safe.
Okay.
Those who were lucky enough got 10, some got 5, but I didn't give extra 10,000.
Okay. Now I come to Padde. I know you worked in civil society for so long, and I know you met a lot of friends. And since you didn't have a political party, and you know politics of nowadays, you first have to start so long, you have to be on the ground for so long, trying to make soften the grounds by either contributing to community service provision, like construction of roads, setting up maybe school blocks, classroom blocks, and also you have the issues of especially in the rural places, what is common, you drill boreholes, all sort of things in terms of helping the society to develop. I want to know from you, how did you manage, first of all, to go down and convince voters to be on your side, and also how did you manage to get some of the finances that you used to popularize yourself in the community?
Thank you. It was really a hassle on my side. And also considering the background that I was coming from, it was difficult. I thought it is that easy that you can just hit the ground and start campaigns, and you wouldn't expect anyone at any time to begin, asking for money here and there. You know, that was the thinking from the word go in my mind. I said, I am going to speak, I am going to promote my ideas, I am going to promote my manifesto, and that is it. So it will be up to people to either give me the vote or not. But what was critical on my end was to make sure that I give them the message that they want to hear related to development, related to improved service delivery, not only service delivery, but the quality of services that they are ought to get. Remember, the Constitution of Uganda is very clear. It stipulates states that every Ugandan has a right to quality service delivery, given the fact that Ugandans pay taxes. So I thought I am basically going to do that, promote my message, and get the support. But unfortunately, it was a different story altogether. I ran with 14 other colleagues for the same post. Among the 14, we had the former MP, and then we had other colleagues whom I can say really had money. They had a lot of money. And when that happened, somehow I changed the strategies. Of course, the approach was basically to go through churches. I thought if you went through churches, you should be able to save. You have an opportunity to speak to the big audience, but also you don't necessarily have to spend money. But I want to tell you, the audience, it's a different story altogether. Churches have become, you know, too demanding in terms of support. You find that about 80% to 90% of our churches have issues. Most of them are going through the construction of their churches. One day I went to one of the churches, I spoke, I gave them the message. They appreciated. So when I was trying to move out, someone came and whispered to me that, you know, now our people are spoiled. If you don't give them something, if you don't make any pronouncement in terms of what you're going to support that church, no one is going to take your message, seriously. So I had to humble myself. I went back to the mic and made the pronouncement and said, I'm going to support you with the 5 bags of cement. So I spent, that now had to, we had now to change the strategy. Wherever we'd go, be it church, be it in the mosque, be it in a community, functions, be it in fundraisings. Remember, when the moment you announce to be a candidate for any political position, everyone now is looking out for you. Whoever has whichever challenge, they will run to you. Even when someone is going to marry, they will run to you for the support. If they are always those fundraising for the churches, for the community, and so forth. All those demands have to come to whoever was running for political position. So it wasn't easy. We had to change strategies. I had to pretend as if I have never promoted the aspects of transparency, integrity, and accountability in elections. Somehow I was forced into, making contributions. But my message was, eat the money, because I knew my candidates had a lot of money, and it's what made them popular. They say so and so came here, had a rally, came to our church, came to our burial, and contributed this amount. For you who just comes here and you think you're talking and the message is going to change anything, it wasn't the case. So what did I learn is that people are not necessarily looking at the ideas that one has. It's more of money. It's more of money, and the unfortunate bit on my side is that my colleagues had a lot of money. I don't know where they got money. Initially, I thought with the COVID situation, it would help, in spending, candidates to spend money. But people had a lot of money. In fact, on a voting day, D-Day, actually a day to voting, Saturday day to voting, I was actually surrounded with money everywhere. people never slept. For me, after doing all my, of course, preparations, of course, the mode of campaigns was more of door-to-door. I started door-to-door campaigns, which I thought initially was effective, but it wasn't as I expected later on. It was tiresome, and the constituency is too huge. My colleagues were holding big rallies, and they were getting popular day by day. When I realized that I had to change the strategy, because even if you went door to door, people would still ask, when are you organizing a rally like your colleagues? So I was forced to begin organizing rallies. So when I started organizing rallies, it became costly as well, because you're not going to have a rally without facilitating the teams that are going to mobilize, without even facilitating the voters who are coming to attend your rallies. So in average,
so, how much were you spending on organizing
every rally I started organizing? The minimum I would spend was 200,000, including the money given to the people who have come to attend those rallies.
Is that inclusive of maybe a public address system that moves around to mobilize people?
The public address system was completely different. I was paying for public address system as well, about 300,000 per day. So it was that costly, and it was a situation that forced me into it. But while I was doing that, I was actually pleading to my voters that, look here, it's not about money, but it's about the quality of the persons that you are taking to parliament. Because today because I was giving examples from my experience and interaction with the MPs when I was in the civil society. In average, according to the statistics that I checked some time back, in average, an MP would spend to the tune of about 400 million. But then still, I would tell, yes, this is the money that MP spent. But do you think if someone has spent all this money will come back after you have given them the vote? Remember, they don't have this money. Some of them are forced to mortgage their houses, to sell their houses, their properties, as well as going to the bank to borrow money. So when someone goes to parliament, one thing that one has to do is to first find a way of recovering this money. And as you recover the money, the 5 years are not so many. By the time you now think of getting back to the ground, the 5 years are done. Maybe you're already in third year, fourth year. People already complaining, you have abandoned them. So it's a risk. So vote a person who will come back, a person who's going to work for you. And for you to get that person, you should get a person. Should not vote for a person who is spending on you, because that is more of bribery. Where did I get my money that I spent, the monies that I spent? Number one, I had an inspiration some time back to run for an MP, having been a guild president at the university. So there was the demand, but from my colleagues, people know me, and of course myself. I decided to offer myself to the position, and I started some time back. So I had some bit of savings that I'd put aside. But that saving initially was basically for administrative. And the rest, I would leave it to the voters after giving them a message that I thought would be of help. Number two, in terms of sources, friends and family members, they played quite a big role. Having worked with the civil society and all the networks that I had, I was able to get some support from my friends. And of course, the family was really behind me, and they supported me to the very end. And those were basically the sources of my income to facilitate the campaigns. But by and large, the biggest source of funding was my brain. And I want to inform the audience that whereas I didn't make it, but still on ground, the voters know that the best candidate, the most qualified candidate was Padde, because of the message. And they say it is only the money that put him down, let him down. And in fact, if I had money for finishing, there's a money that they call for, they call finishing. Yes, I realize it is very important. Because what people do, they stand in, they begin distributing money in the night, at night to elections. And my experience, even on the D-Day of elections, people were actually moving with money. They would do make stopovers in different corners, give people money. They give you money, 1,000, 2,000. They say go and vote so and so. So when I saw that, I realized now I think I have limited chance to make it. And remember, we also had preparations where we invited all our agents across all the polling stations at home. So where everyone thought that I'm going to give them money, they thought we are going to give them money to go and distribute, which I didn't. And I think that affected me in one way or the other, because other people thought that I have already given the agents the money and they decided to pocket the money. So it affected me. So that final meeting also affected me in one way. Some agents, after failing to get the money, they crossed over. But honestly, the money that I spent was basically to facilitate those fundraisings, those invitations, the cards that kept on coming. So I would continuously contribute, as I also got to present my ideas to them, because it was an opportunity, given that it was a hybrid campaigns where they didn't encourage crowds. I also spent so much in churches, a lot of money in churches, but they are no longer honest. Initially, they said that once you convince the church, you are good to go. But the church has also become more political. There's a lot of politics in church. It's not a must that when you convince and you contribute, that is an end in itself. No, they will definitely vote otherwise. The best bidder is the one that is taken on. So those are some of the experience that I learned. So churches, through supporting them, constructions of the churches, where you contribute, cement, bricks, depending on the need. And then barriers. Man, I realize that people are dying. And we need to pray. We need to pray so hard. When you want to know that people are dying, you join politics. Every day you receive, calls to the tune of about 10, all announcing about someone who has died, and therefore you need to participate. So that's all. That's all. That is the cost. And then many other,
Okay, thank you, Padde, for that. Now we are going to go for a short break, and then we shall return.
The monster of money politics is eating up Uganda's democracy. When you take money from a candidate, it means you are feeding the monster. Then you become a part of the problem.
I think we can
is elected. He or she will not represent voters, but himself. He or she will engage in corruption to recover campaign money.
From what Padde has been explaining to us, I think it has been so interesting to learn from the experiences we went through. Okay, welcome back from that short commercial break. Today we have two guests. We are joined by Honorable Hellen Auma Wandera, currently the youngest member of parliament in the 11th parliament. And also we are joined by a development expert and policy analyst, Mr. Gerald Padde Auku, formerly the candidate for Samia Bugwe North. Padde, as we were before we went for a break, you were explaining to us some of the challenges you faced, especially how you faced the church, and they told you nowadays you cannot convince people without making some pronouncement about what you're going to do. When you go to maybe homes during door-to-door, they tell you now how you're going to leave us. The campaign agents, how they were trying to make money out of you, because they look at an election opportunity as a window of opportunity where they can extract money from those who are trying to contest. So with such all dynamics, I want to pose a question to our Honorable. I know you got money funding from your party, and there were a lot of demands. And we also know that there are people who are masqueraders who sometimes pose themselves as political merchants. They know areas where voters are, and they influence mainly how you should spend your money. So I want you to tell us, during your campaigns, when you received the money from NRM and other sources you received it from, what took most of your budget? Was it campaign administration, whereby you have to facilitate agents, you have to maybe organize meetings and maybe have venues paid for? Or was it maybe campaign publicity, where you had to print posters, maybe hire public address systems? Was it on voter inducement? Because sometimes some people spend a lot on voter inducement, especially giving money to voters, buying them food. You know, we went under COVID. So very many people were at home and they were poverty stricken, so they had no money to buy for themselves food stuff. So most of the candidates came as saviors and they were buying food. So for us, in our perspective, we look at that as more of inducing voters. So according to your own budget, what took most of your money?
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. But you're not really clear, but I had the questions. I think I know the question we're answering.
Okay, my question is, there are various aspects people spend on during campaigns. So I want to understand from your own campaign spending, what area did you spend on most during your campaigns?
Actually, where I spent more, the address system, I had a friend who gave it to me freely. That one, I was using it freely because we wouldn't handle these elections without public system. It was really hard to gather people since we're under lockdown. So someone gave me his address system for freely. Actually, in general elections, I got some small car called Chikumi. I know it's called Chikumi, but that thing was really old. It's from my uncle. And you know, sometimes even I used to leave it in field. I would go there and I don't have, I go off of, or maybe I don't have money to fuel up my car. Actually, I would even leave it in the bush even for 2 days and they come and take it after some time. But where I spent more of my time, also I used to visit churches. You know, I told you I'm a believer. I believe that God can do miracles. So I used to attend most of churches and I would buy for them clock watch. That's what I used to do. And I would print on my names and my posters. There's some man called Bosco. He works at NASA. He's also from our place. He's from Busia. So I would print posters, then I pay him slowly. Like whatever I would get, if it's 20,000, I send to him. Actually, he's a kind man. He used to give me loans of the posters. I would pay him slowly. That's what I used to do. But mostly, actually, I didn't spend money in town, municipal, the way I expected. Because in municipal, after giving my speech, when I would want to give people money, they'll tell me, you don't have money, you're just from school. So they would return back my money. So at least, again, municipal, I didn't use any money actually, like I did in villages. Because in village, you have the problem. Someone says, I'll vote someone who has given me something. If you're not giving me, I'm not going to vote for you. So my money, out of the 50 million, I first had to save. Actually, the 30 million, I left it on my account for finishing, how Padde said, without my finishing in Uganda, let me say in any politics of any country, you can't win a game. So I first left the 30 million on my account to wait for that one day to the voting day is when I withdrew that money. Actually, I withdrew 2 days before because I knew the last day banks might be off. So I got it 2 days before. When the NRM sent us that money, I first got a 20 million. It was pushing me throughout my campaigning process, moving from here to here. And also I told my mom is a business lady. Whenever she would get something, money from her market, she would come and top on something like that. So my money, I used it on finishing the final at night, the way Padde said.
So that finishing, what entails it? What kind of spend, like now the 30 million we withdrew and you use it on the finish. What exactly did you spend it on? Was it on voters? Was it?
Actually, it was on voters. I have 21 sub-counties. Okay, I have 19 sub-counties and I have 10 councils, making 21 sub-counties. I would push every sub-county and I would give in 1 million, which was real less, because someone even in a sub-county would take even 30 million. You open it. She's taking 30 million, so you're taking only 1 million. But my people are calculating. I had to get those change the money, 1,000. They would give someone, then it goes and they give us men. Actually, they used to do night door to door. You know, that's politics. Even in the morning, people would keep changing people. But me, I would forward only 1 million per sub county. So that was already 21 million. Out of 30 million, I'm remaining with 90 million only.
So how many campaign agents did you have in the entire district who were helping you do your activities?
Actually, me, I think I'm a smart woman. I was so calculative. I had people from sub-county level. I used to have chairman of the sub-county. I had chairman of the parish. Every sub-county, we have, like in Busia, we have 4 parishes. So those are 5 people. Everyone would head a parish. Those are 5. Then every village, I had my 10 people who would do my campaigns. I think in a sub-county, I would have like 50 people, which was okay. Because every villages, you can find like maybe my town council, where I come from, Masaf, we have something like 30-something villages. And imagine those 30 villages, every village you're having 10 people, plus the 5 people on top. That was quite a good number. And that helped me to run my politics so well. Because those people were trustworthy and they just, I think they had maybe like, no, let's help this young woman, something. I think, because I didn't know to pay them. Imagine someone leaving his home from morning, you go move, and at night you come back, you don't pay that person. He has a family to feed, and someone will go back. Actually, sometimes they used to go back lamenting, and I thought they would not come back in the morning. And in the morning, I'd even see them knocking my door. Because actually the fact is, me, I used to come from my mom's home. I didn't have my home. So I would find them looking for my room. As though I just had a room, you know, it was not my home, it's my mom's home. I'd hear them knocking my room. When they would come, we go out. You see, that's the struggle I went through. Because also I was just coming from someone's home. Many voters would not want to come to my mom's home. Like, how can we vote someone who's coming? Okay, they're still feeding her. How can we vote someone whom the parents are still feeding, they're still buying for clothes? You know, such sorts of words. Actually, even I was not married. And you know, for this to vote someone who's not married for the seat of woman member of parliament, it is impossible. Actually, we've seen the whole of Uganda. Someone who comes from woman member of parliament, you have to go when you're married. And me, I was not married. So that also affected me. And I used to use always to tell people that it's not marriage. It's all about someone's what someone is going to perform. You've seen married people have gone to parliament and they've done the purpose. Someone goes when he's married, after 2 years, they switch to another husband. So do you need such to happen again? At least try someone who's single, like, no, and you see if they'll do the same things. So it was really hard, but my money I used more on voters. Yeah, it ran across the voters.
Okay, I go back to our brother, Honorable. I mean, I would prefer to call you Honorable Padde, Auku Gerald. You contested. I want to now come from the angle of why you chose to contest as an independent candidate as opposed to a political party. We do understand that in Uganda, political parties enjoy a lot of political advantage in terms of they have a lot of infrastructure on ground in terms of mobilization. So they can be able to mobilize for their candidate, which is not the case for independent candidates. You have to go solo and try to build your own structures. So what inspired you, or what made you not to vie for positions of MP of Samia, Bugwe, North under a political party and opted to come as an independent candidate?
Well, I think again it speaks on the idea, the reason why is again because of my background, having worked with civil society, and you know very well civil societies are supposed to be non-partisan, and but also, again, from experience, realize that sometimes the political parties have done us a disservice. Little has been done in terms of impact to the constituency. So I am like, okay, we have all these political parties. I think it doesn't matter so much. What is important, what our people want is representation, which I was willing to offer, and I had what it takes, because going to the definition of democracy really is about the ideas. The democracy, the definition of democracy, the government of the people, for the people, by the people, if I can recall that definition. So it's about now the ideas. So the best bidder in terms of ideas should be the one to be, given an opportunity, which didn't happen. But of course, having run as an independent, I realized that it's difficult, especially if you are a first-time runner, where you have to build these structures, where you have to popularize yourself with the voters. And remember, the constituency is huge. And although actually I managed to finish, I was actually, I told you we're 14, but the majority of contestants never managed to finish all the sub-counties. And actually I did that. I made sure I finished all the sub-counties. However, later on, I realized I think it was a bad idea, because the little resources that I had, if I had only concentrated in a few sub-counties where I anticipated to get a sort of a block, maybe it would have enabled me to go through and maybe save some money for finishing, as my sister alluded to, where she had to spare the 30 million for finishing. But even the 30 million that she was speaking about wasn't enough. My competitors spent billions of shillings, actually, billions of shillings. And I asked myself, where do people get this money, and how are they going to recover? By and large, that was back to the point, the question. My background inspired me to run as independent, but also having made the assessment of the performance of political parties, little was impacted to the communities, livelihoods, and so forth. But also, being an independent person gives you an opportunity to speak your mind, so that you are not driven by the aspiration of the political party, even when it is not, helpful to the development of this country and to promote governance and human rights.
So the money-hungry voters, because each time I know you meet voters, they will always ask for money. And since your camp, you had a limited budget, how were you managing the expectations of such voters? So each time you meet them, they're asking you, Honorable, how are you leaving us?
Can you come again? I lost you at a certain point.
Okay, anyone, I was asking posing this question to Honorable Auma.
Okay.
How did you manage to meet the expectations of the money-hungry voters? We do know that nowadays, each time you meet a group of people who are voters, you will address them, and then after you finalize addressing them, the question they will pose on you, how are you leaving us, Honorable? How are you going to leave us? Are you just going to leave us with your words, or you're going to leave us with something? So how are you managing the expectations of such voters in your constituency?
Actually, you're so true, Abel. That's a problem we have. Actually, after even declaration up to now, I think there's no day my phone has been off without any calls. Like every time they're calling, my child, she's sick, admitted, my wife is giving birth, my kid wants to go back to school. Everything in the whole district. Imagine I run the whole district. So I find it so challenging. But good enough, I told you I'm a businesswoman. I have that charming language or that charming tune of replying to someone. There's the way I try to talk to them. If I have something little, I send my coordinators to go and find out, because this voters also, she calls without any reason. She wants to maybe give her money and she just eats. I'll call someone to go and find out if it's true someone is sick, and I'll give them the little I have. If I don't have, I'll explain I don't what? I don't have. If I have, I give. And whenever I'm moving with my car, when I go back to the village, I make sure at least I have something like 1M or 500, checked just like 1,000. I reach a stage, someone says, me, how honorable, want some water. You just pull and you give like 2,000, you move away. Once you fail to give out, you're in danger. They'll abuse you. We gave you our votes for free, because most of them were like, we are borrowing our votes. That's what they used to tell me. Don't have money, so we are borrowing our votes. We want also we want you to pay us. So when you go, at least I have to change some little money. And if someone asks money, I give 1,000, I give 2,000, and I move away. But
so
really
they borrow do their votes to first go and make money, and then after you go
then
and
I pay them. Yeah, that's what they keep on telling me. So I think I'm in shit. I don't know. I have to work hard for my data to come back for the next term. If I don't work hard, I think I'll be in not a right position. But I need to work hard, because people are expecting a lot from me, being so young, and they trusted me. And there's a lot of expectations, of which you can't perform for all people, but at least you can try, because the district's really large, and you can't even, can you imagine someone having a constituency, but even will not handle that constituency? Now, who I am to handle 4 constituencies? We have 3 constituencies and 1 man's pal. So who am I? I just pray God to guide me, whatever I do, so that I may succeed, but it's really challenging on my side.
Okay. Since you are now a legislator, I would like to know from you, what would you recommend as a solution to address this problem of highly commercialized political environment?
Actually, what I would advise, the government of Uganda to take seriously the Section 68 of the Parliament, that's Act 205, to take it serious. This act deals with the bribery. Like when the act says someone has to be arrested, like not more than 3 years, they should take this act so seriously, because people are bribing voters. People are buying voters. Like how Honorable Padde said, most people lost votes because they're buying their voters. Can you imagine they buy your coordinate at night? You're there sleeping, knowing that in the morning you're going to have someone who's going to take care of, maybe guard your votes. And all of a sudden someone has disappeared, the phone is off. People have been running with people's money. You give your coordinator money at night, you call in the morning, the numbers have never been on. The numbers are off. And you expect someone to be in Busia, someone is already in what? In Kampala. So that act should be serious to guard our people of Uganda, because all of us were Ugandans, we want justice. If I was one, really, I think people of Busia will be hurt. Because they gave me fair, it was a fair election. They gave me fair votes, let me say fair votes. Now it will be, they would feel like we don't have justice in Uganda. So let the government handle this act so serious for the people to benefit. We are going to, like, when we come to, we have the problem of political parties. These political parties also affect a lot. This goes to our chairman of NRM, that's our beloved president, Gerald Museveni. I think this should come on your table. If someone has lost elections in the primary, let our NRM government or any party advise those candidates to pull out and support the flag bearer. That would be more so better, because all of us, when we come into primary elections, we are looking for the one flag bearer. So why would someone lose elections and comes as an independent candidate? That thing disorganizes the party.
Honorable, some who lose say that they lose because the internal party systems are so weak to the extent that they tend to favor certain candidates. That's why they don't believe sometimes in the electoral outcome from the party, so they decide to run as independents. So would you maybe recommend that internally political parties also build strong systems in place so that whenever they are holding elections, they hold free and fair elections which are not predetermined to favor certain candidates. Maybe that would work.
Actually, Abel, you're right. I beg that this primary election should be fair and free. You know, me, when I was hosted on TV, on radio in Busia, the moderator asked me, now in case you lose the primary election, will you come as independent? I told him I can't come. Because me, I love NRM, that's my party. If someone has won me, I'll come and support the flag bearers. Then someone was like, you're talking because you've not gone through the elections. I was like, how much they have cheated me, or someone has won, and if I feel like if I've lost the flag, I'll come and support that flag bearer. Not me, I had 3 candidates who lost and came. No, that thing also affected me. Because also some people have that feeling, these people are NRM what? NRM members. And one used to disturb me, would make my head pain me so much. You know, she's not the flag bearer, and you see her posters, she has pinned her poster with the president. So I would wonder, are we 2 flag bearers in Busia? So I had to take that complaint. I was like, really, I need some lecture here because someone is moving with the NRM chairman's pick with hers, and she lost the primary elections. So I argued the chairman of NRM, that's our beloved president, to take this serious on his table, or else our party is going to lose value. Because me, I witnessed it during the primary election, because even people went extra, saying that this year we have 2 flag bearers. Actually, I would go addressing, then ask me, either flag bearer or Fiona. So I got confused. We're like the 2 flag bearers. So I used to explain to them, and I would tell them, hey, wait, you're going to see the last final election, someone who will appear with the symbol of a bus will be the flag bearer. So there's sometimes people from the village, it takes some good time for them to really listen and understand what you're trying to air out. But the government should take that serious. The problem also, like we have poorly structured state system. Can you imagine even some RDCs in different districts, and the DPCs fought candidates who had flags, and yet they work for the government? I was like, really? You know, fighting someone who has the flag and supporting someone of different party and something, and you're someone won freely, and also you're fighting that person. Really, I think that was not really fair for the RD. Someone appointed by the president, and you're fighting the people the president is going to work with. So it was really embarrassing.
All government officials, whether RDC, whether police DPCs, they are supposed to be non-partisan. Whether the president appoints them, they should not support Auma, they should not support our brother Padde. They should just supervise and make sure that the process goes in a free and fair manner. So I will come to my brother Padde. You were a victim of a highly commercialized political environment. And you as you were explaining, you never had enough money. For example, you call it finishing. So what would you advise the government, the newly sworn government, and also our legislators, especially members of parliament? What advice would you pass on to them so that maybe they can come up with a solution to address this problem, which is affecting most of the people, from the best candidates from winning, and those who have money are the ones who we see going to most political positions?
Yeah, number one, I think we need to strengthen and implement our laws to deter vote buying and selling if we are to get good leaders for this country. From what I am seeing, apparently, the ones with a lot of money are the ones that have higher chances of going through, except in exceptional cases like my sister, Auma, and she forgot to tell us the slogan that she used, and that slogan also popularized her a lot. Honorable, I hope you remember that slogan. Meaning that small is not disease. So that in a way also helped her to go through and got a bit of sympathy votes. Of course, with our other initiatives of being creative and so, but also the party. I think party also helped her in one or the other. Unlike some of us, we're really vulnerable. We had to spend whatever we had. The fortunate bit about it, I said, I am not going to the bank, neither am I going to sell whichever property that I have. I am going to work within what I have. Otherwise,
what was the rough estimate what you spent?
I think altogether from the word go, I think I could have spent over 200 million. But I said, I informed you the sources of this. Of course, it was accumulative over time. I started some time back. So that was the cost. Now I imagine the young persons who want to run for that position. Where will they get this money? Maybe at my age, I was also lucky to have had these networks and maybe have some little savings here and there to be able to raise some money. Now, what of that person who is just starting life? Remember, the population of Uganda is estimated to be 42 million. But out of the 42 million, 75% is below 30 years. So you have a country with a young population who want to join politics, they want to join position of leadership, but because of highly commercialized, campaigns, they can't make it. So that's why we have the leaders that we have, simply because of it. So let's strengthen the law. And the ACFIM should help us in this direction. I know you have been doing a lot of work around vote buying and selling, and I would want to applaud you. I have all this experience. Please don't hesitate to engage me at any time so that we're able to share this, some of these challenges that politicians go through. I am happy my sister is now in the August House of 11 Parliament. I want her to be an ambassador to ensuring that we implement the law to the dot. Even in the caucus of the NRM, the Igwes of the political parties in Uganda, they have to have a deliberate conversation aimed at deterring candidates from bribing. But also, let's fight the poverty. Whereas we are spending this, how much is someone getting? Someone is just getting 1,000 shillings. I remember during campaigns when you have come up with your program for rallies, you find that if you, for example, you are set to meet a certain group at 2, you end up not making it up to the time. You find yourself getting there maybe at 4. But these people are going to wait for you. And how much are they getting at the end of the day? If they are to get 500, 1,000, isn't that wastage of time? That time of 2-3 hours in waiting, if they had something to do, don't you think it would enable them to get more than they expect to get from a candidate? So let's fight poverty, because poverty is real. Whereas our national indicator showed that our poverty levels are increasing, it is a reverse. It's completely different when you get to the ground. So if you give someone 500 shillings, which to me is nothing, someone will be really very happy. Now, what is that? So let's fight poverty. And Honorable Auma, being one of the young MPs, I want to see her in the Parliament with the deliberate initiative, having a conversation on how best we should be able to improve the livelihoods of our people. They are now speaking of so many programs. I hope it will work. But programs without strategies on how to get results sometimes will not be of help. So let's hope this time. As I conclude on that point, is that let's work towards dealing with the issue of vote buying and selling, and that is not only on the side of politicians, but also let's sensitize our citizens. But also, the incumbents are usually a big problem to the new contestants, because what they used to tell me that for us, this is the only time that we have to eat, because once you go, you will never come back. So the incumbents are also a disservice to the newcomers. So I also want to encourage my colleague, who is my sister Auma, and others who are watching us, who are live, who are following us, to ensure that they go back. Let them implement their manifesto. And I don't want to see my sister, busy attending barrios. Attending barrios and making those contributions is not the role of a member of parliament. You are limited to two, roles. So let's stick around with that. But also, what is significant? What programs do we have for our people? Do we have the mantle? Do we have the ability to lobby? The population, I said, it is that high, and it keeps on increasing. Remember, the population is increasing, but the resources are not. So areas that have leaders who are able to lobby and pull resources to their people are areas that are able to benefit from the national cake. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gerald, Padde, Auku. Honorable Auma, we know you members of parliament swore in this week, but there are various colleagues of yours who are having pending petitions, election petitions. And we do have a problem with our law. We have a gap in our law, whereby even if those members are found to have faulted some of the electoral guidelines and the elections are nullified, they are still allowed to contest in the next election. So I want, as you wrap up, I want to understand from your view, do you think those who caused the election to be nullified should again be allowed to come back and contest? Or there should be something done within the laws? And also the message you have for the young people, what inspiration do you have for them as they come, those who aspire to be candidates? As we wrap up.
Thank you so much, the moderator. I think that's not justice. It's the law should work upon it. As the one member of parliament, Busia district, I would not call it fair. The advice I will give up as we are winding up, let me first speak to the youth outside Uganda and maybe East Africa. Whoever is listening to me, Bambi, still stay focused. I myself, Hellen, I came from nothing. At least right now I'm on top. I remember I began with 5,000 in my life, and that wasn't my money. When my mom used to go to work, she would leave some money at home for taking care of the home. So I would get the balance, like maybe 2,000, 500, 100 I saved until I had a total of 5,000. I went to some market. I bought tomatoes. I began selling tomatoes. That was my senior for vacation. From those tomatoes, I got some little money. I remember I ran and went to Nairobi without a notice of anyone knowing, because I knew my mom wouldn't allow me to go to Nairobi, because I didn't know Nairobi. I was very young. By then I was in senior vacation. I went and bought some clothes from Nairobi. I came into Uganda, of which I got some good money. Nairobi clothes are cheap, and in Uganda it was kind of, I used to get a lot of profit. That's how I began. So I never lost hope. When I went to university, that's where you see my fish vending comes in. When I went to university, that was Chambogo. I began vending fish. That was Banda Market. I used to stay Kareri. It's called Kareri Market. I used to stay across it and I would sell fish. Actually, even I wouldn't sell in the market, I would end up carrying fish at the university on orders. Someone would order. It was this deep fried. They want the dip in cooking oil, then it comes out when it's dry. I used to carry that fish in at the university. Nevertheless, I used to be smart actually, but I wouldn't look about the smartness and whatever. I used to look about how my future stands tomorrow. So I was like, in case anything can happen in life, how will I stand? So I used to carry that fish on order. I take to the university in the lecture room. I would sell. And some girls, being a campuser, you're smelling like weird. How when you're selling fish, how you smell. I won't remember that story, but it was really hectic. It was really irritating to my friends and to myself, but I needed at least some money for my rental fee. I didn't lose hope. I kept on pushing my dream. And the advice I would give girls at campus when they would begin talking ill things about me, what, I'll tell them, at least me, I sell fish and I earn something money. When people are going to leave university at night, you'll go on streets, exchanging your body for money. Who is better? At least me, I'm smelling, but tomorrow I'm going to earn something like my money. So I'd advise all campus girls who are there, or wherever you're there, if you have a chance to work, please do that work. Never the circumstances, all challenges will come. You know, all offices, you have to have a challenge. However much you have that collar job, still you face challenges, but let the challenges not become your weakness. Fight them. Through God, everything can be possible. Pray hard, you can achieve. Me, I didn't even know that I would win this election actually, but was just all trying my luck and praying to God. So if you have anything you're doing, work hard. As me, woman in parliament, I'm going to work with the youth all over Uganda. Nevertheless, where I'll be called to give child education, to do what, I'll come. As long as I have the time and I have the access to reach there, I'll come and we share. Because you know what I want? I want to develop Uganda. Me, I always say I'm not a member of Busia district, but I run the whole Uganda. I'm an African. I love Uganda. I love my Africa. So we're going to work together, and I assure the youth are somewhere. But we have projects in our country. We want to lobby those projects to reach down to this youth who don't have anything. We have the youth who don't have anything, but they have the brain. They can perform. Not like my district in Busia. First, we're business people. Those people have that IQ of working and dealing with business. But the problem, they don't have money. We have circles. I've formed with circles my youth in Busia. They just need some money to be imparted in. I'll lobby everything to see that our Uganda stands so well. Also, I'll talk about since I'm coming as a woman of parliament, or I'll be serving as, that's my position. I can't leave out the women. Me, I always call them my mothers because most of them, I think I qualify to be their daughter. So I work together with my parents. We have circles, we have the UWEP women, with the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, and we have the YLOP, that's the Youth Livelihood Fund Program. They are there to support the Ugandans. But the problem with our politicians, as Honorable Padde said, when they go to parliament, they think they own it all, and not knowing that 5 years is just like 5 months. It also gets to the end, and you go back down looking for votes. So I'll try hard to ensure that the widows and all categories in Uganda, at least we serve Uganda, we have our freedom, we want justice, we want development. We are tired, people are crying of poverty. When are we going to also be free and we feel like other countries are? And that's how I would advise my people that never seem that everywhere is perfect. You can be crying with Uganda, we are so bad off. But also America is crying. The way you're crying here, all different countries have challenges. But you and I can sit down and settle these challenges. Me, I have that feeling, I have that wisdom, that one head or one brain cannot solve a problem. But when we bring together the brains, we can solve the problem. And my moderator, I assure you, the 11th parliament will be the perfect parliament. Why? We have many young MPs, because when in Chankwanzi, I was appointed the class monitor. Actually, I used to time the MPs when they're giving their speeches or when they're asking. I used to time, and all programs, I was in charge of those programs. So it reached an extent when we were registering, we were registering our names, districts, and age. So I'm the one who collected those lists. But when I went through the list, I saw names and ages from 20 to 35. Oh my God, it was a hell. Like many MPs range from 20 to 35. And what I know of those people are they have what they call, they're so serious. They know how to work. These people are knowledgeable. They have a lot of knowledge. Me, I witnessed this thing from Chankwanzi. Actually, that's where you've been seeing this Mama Busia coming from. That the name I got from Chankwanzi. So it will be the perfect parliament. And if we're going to enjoy the 11th parliament, you're going to like it, and it's going to be, I don't know. And I know the president is just warming up to work with this young generation.
Thank you, Honorable Auma Hellen Wandera, for that. Mr. Gerald Padde Auku, your parting shot in 1 minute. What do you have for your voters and Ugandans?
Ugandans, my voters, I congratulate them for having gone through the elections. They are over. Let's now start embarking on activities that's supposed to help us to improve our livelihood. And for those that went through, please work for the people. Implement your manifestos. My honorable says that the majority of MPs are young people, which I agree. So they should not disappoint the young people as well. Because we kept saying that, the old guy is doing us a disservice. So it's an opportunity for us to show that we can do better as young people. MPs should distance themselves from being bribed to pass unpopular laws and policies. Be yourself. You are the representations. MPs are the representations of the voiceless. So whatever they should be doing, they should do with consultations with their bosses. That is it. Otherwise, I thank ACFIM for this initiative, and I think it will go a long way in engaging the key stakeholders on issues of good governance and political accountability, but also gives an opportunity for the young people to get information in regards to aspects related to good governance. And on my end, I applaud you and I encourage that you continue with these initiatives. There are so many Ugandans that are on social media. And maybe before I forget, I also want to bring to the attention of our MP, Auma, to try to come up with initiatives that should be able to prevent, taxes imposed on internet, imposed on airtime, if we are to promote social media for information sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gerald, Padde, Auku, and also thank you so much, Honorable Auma, Hellen, Wandera, for your time. This edition of ACFIM Talks comes to one end. I want to thank our viewers who have been following us from wherever you have been. It has been me, Abel Eseru. Today, this has been so interesting, and I know that we shall bring you another interesting edition next week on Friday. So please tune in on our YouTube, ACFIM Uganda, Facebook, ACFIM, and then Twitter, ACFIM UG. You will always be able to follow our events and our activities on those platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The monster of money politics is eating up Uganda's democracy. When you take money from a candidate, it means you are feeding the monster. Then you become a part of the problem. When a candidate who overspends on campaigns is elected, he or she will not represent voters, but himself. He or she will engage in corruption to recover campaign money. Social services will not be delivered and the voter will suffer more. Voter, let's be wise. Give democracy a chance. Do not sell your vote. Focus on the issue.